Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mike, for inviting me today. And actually, we were chatting earlier about the role of the industry in this process, in making sure we have good acceptance of the technology with consumers. And I think I agree with absolutely every word you said and couldn't have put it better myself, that partnership with government, regulators and industry. And of course, the SMMT is synonymous with our rich automotive history, formed shortly after the first serial production car rolled off a Coventry assembly line. You've been a tireless campaigner for the British motoring industry ever since. By 1950, helped by your industry reports during the war, over half of all exported cars in the world were British made. And more recently, and I remember at a recent event, your members are gearing Britain up for an electric future, attracting record investment from gigafactories in Sunderland and Somerset to EV production in Oxford. And now a journey which started with horseless carriages reaches its next junction, self-driving cars. Cars which for the first time in history will free us from responsibility for how the vehicle drives. Cars that will usher in a transport revolution, bringing safer, more convenient and more accessible travel to more people. And that revolution needs innovative technology, which British companies are now designing. And that, I think, is the big opportunity and the prize for everyone here, a real opportunity to make Britain the place where this technology is designed, exported and sold around the world. It needs robust legal frameworks, which British lawyers are now writing, and world-leading safety regulation, which, as Katie said just last week, British MPs across the road were debating. And once again, this great industry is adapting and innovating for the future, and British leadership is at the wheel. Now, as was said in the film, and as Mike said, arguably the greatest impact will be on road safety. Despite us having some of the safest roads in the world, levels of serious injury and death remain unacceptably high. Self-driving vehicles can potentially make a huge difference. They're not going to drink and drive, they don't speed, they don't get frustrated, they don't get tired, and they don't ignore the rules of the road. And as we heard in the film, driver error, which is involved in 88% of road collisions, could be something we can drive down and eventually make a thing of the past. And I've seen that potential firsthand on it was on a very rainy day just outside this building, where I took a journey from my departmental office to the House of Commons in a self-driving car designed by British autonomous vehicle company Wave. And it was very interesting actually observing how the vehicle drove and how the technology operated. It was more vigilant than a human driver. It dealt with very busy, very congested roads, pedestrians crossing the road where they probably shouldn't. It was raining, people were darting in and out, there were cyclists all over the place, and actually the way the vehicle behaved and drove, actually I think anyone that observed it would have a huge amount of confidence both about the technology and about the potential for improving road safety, rather than the opposite. So my argument would be anyone who's sceptical about this technology or concerned about it, we should try and find the opportunity for as many people as possible to see it in practice. And I think actually that will go a long way to persuading people who are sceptical. The benefits, though, go beyond road safety. There are a huge number of people who can't drive, don't have the same opportunities and freedom that many of us take for granted, such as the 340,000 people who are registered blind or partially sighted, the millions of people who have learning disabilities who would desperately like the freedom to be able to travel independently, those who live in rural communities who don't have great public transport but don't have access to a car. This technology potentially transforms the life chances and the opportunities for a huge number of people, giving them the chance to travel independently, increasing the options for lower cost public transport and opening social and economic doors that have long been closed. Now, new technologies always been met with scepticism, sometimes resistance, and self-driving vehicles are no different. People want to know how they work, who's responsible if something goes wrong, and above all, how safe they are. And the Automated Vehicles Bill, which I took through its second reading last week in Parliament, answers those questions for people. It started out with a Law Commission review in 2018, 3 rounds of public consultation, hundreds of written responses, intense legal scrutiny, and we ended with 70 recommendations which we accepted, which underpin the safety and legal framework at the heart of the legislation. And that also meant, by the way, that the industry was very clear about where we were going, and when we published the bill, it wasn't unexpected, it was exactly what people had expected us to do because we had done that extensive level of consultation. And it ensures that only vehicles that meet rigorous technical standards will be authorised for our roads, that those vehicles will be as safe as a competent and careful human driver, which probably means safer than quite a lot of the people who are driving, and that new legal concepts will assign liability to a third party when a vehicle is in self-driving mode, and that sanctions and suspensions can be applied to companies who refuse to share their safety data. So that means there's a robust framework, brings clarity to investors, certainty to manufacturers, and confidence to the public. And I want to thank SMMT for their ongoing support, as you heard robustly there from Mike, for that legislation and the importance of taking it through Parliament. But world-leading regulations should be tested in world-leading facilities. That's why the UK connected an automotive sector has welcomed £600 million of public and private investment since 2015, with 100 projects, over 200 companies from nimble startups to industry powerhouses. The UK's built a world-leading self-driving vehicle sector. So take Oxford-based Oxa, whose technology is powering shuttle buses in the US, or London's own Wave, which has secured $258 million of investment from the likes of Microsoft and Virgin, and Coventry-based Origo, specialising in automated airport dollies, having already signed deals with Munich, Cincinnati, and Singapore's Changi airports. And it's clear why investors are attracted to the UK. Not just our dynamic, skilled workforce, but our Europe's only large-scale megacity test environment right here in London. And we're not taking our foot off the accelerator. It's £150 million to support R&D until 2030. The Centre for Connected and Autonomous Vehicles is continuing to work with industry to grow our supply chain and ready firms for the market. Now, getting this right matters. Your members are proof of what a thriving automotive sector means for the UK, supporting around 800,000 jobs, adding £14 billion in economic value and making up 10% of our exports. And I want to see the industry continue to grow, to use our early mover advantage with self-driving vehicles, seize the opportunities, as Mike said, for a market which could be worth £42 billion to our economy and 38,000 new jobs. But the fate of self-driving vehicles ultimately lies in the public hands. Their confidence will determine the level of success, which is why in 2021, together with the SMMT and others, we launched AV Drive, an educational mission to explain how self-driving vehicles work, making sure the industry speaks with one voice, we avoid misleading marketing, and that drivers can trust the technology. And we'll continue to earn that hard-won trust with the work of the Partners for Automated Vehicle Education, or PAVE UK, which was launched last month. They'll take the technology to all corners of the country, and via podcasts, videos, webinars, and across national and regional events, they'll champion the enormous promise of self-driving vehicles. So let me finish with this. The automotive industry has always had one eye on the future, how we drive better, faster, longer, and cleaner. Self-driving cars are part of the future, but that future is now. Once the preserve, as Mike said again, of science fiction, they will become an everyday reality. I've seen them in the UK, and I've seen them in the US. Millions will be liberated by new options to travel. We'll have safer roads, and the industry will be guided by world-leading safety laws, with the AV bill going through Parliament as we speak, with support from across the House. We are ideally placed in the United Kingdom to seize the self-driving future. That is the opportunity. I know you all and the government wants to make sure we seize that opportunity and that we don't waste the chance that we have to lead the world in this exciting new technology. Thank you all very much indeed.